Can you believe it? The housekeeper in your home, the person you see every day who quietly takes care of your living space, might actually have more wealth than you do. It sounds absurd, even a bit uncomfortable, especially when it clashes with the assumptions we've carried for so long. We tend to associate wealth with flashy job titles, sleek office spaces, or at the very least, careers that society deems successful. But what if I told you all of that is just the surface? That the true principles of building wealth, the real rules of how money works, don't care who you are, what you do for a living, or where you come from. This isn't a fairy tale about luck. This is a breakdown of financial laws that anyone can apply, but not everyone has the patience and discipline to follow. Let's pull back the curtain on the myths surrounding status and money and uncover a truth that might completely change the way you think about wealth. The veil of social bias. Our society seems to run on boxes. We place people into neatly labeled categories: doctor, engineer, entrepreneur, and even housekeeper. Each box comes with its own set of expectations, an estimated income range, and a default social status. We glance at the car they drive, the house they live in, and instantly decide how successful they are just like that. And this is the biggest mental trap that keeps millions stuck in the financial hamster wheel. They focus on looking rich instead of being rich. They lease cars they can't afford, rack up debt to buy designer goods, all to maintain an image to fit the mold of success that society has imposed. What they don't realize is that while they're busy decorating their golden cage somewhere else, someone is quietly building an empire. These people might not have fancy titles or corner offices. They might work jobs others look down on, but they possess something far more powerful: the right mindset and unshakable financial discipline. They understand that wealth isn't about how much you make, it's about how much you keep, how well you grow it, and ultimately how much freedom it brings you. The story we're about to explore isn't just about a housekeeper. It's a powerful metaphor for all of us. A reminder that your starting point doesn't determine your destination. Birds fly at different heights, and if you want to soar among the clouds, you first need to change the direction of the wind in your mind. Land's story. A quiet beginning. To understand this better, let's follow the story of Ms. Lan, a fictional character inspired by countless true stories of extraordinary people. Ms. Lan, in her early 40s, works as a housekeeper for a well-off family in the city. Her employers Tuan and Mai are the picture of success. Tuan is a sales director, and Mai runs her own boutique fashion store. Lan's day begins at the crack of dawn and ends when the entire household is fast asleep. Her routine is repetitive cleaning, cooking, laundry. She's quiet, always working in the background. To her employers, she's a diligent and trustworthy worker, but perhaps not much more than that. They treat her well, but there's always an invisible distance between them, a gap of status, and of course, money. Lan frequently overhears the couple's conversations, contracts, shopping plans, lavish vacations. She sees new designer bags each week, extravagant parties that come and go. But she also hears Tuan's weary sighs over sales targets and Mai's constant worries about bank loans. They make a lot of money, yet it slips through their fingers like water. Caught in a relentless cycle of earning and spending, they're constantly trying to keep up with the elite. The car must be the latest model. Vacations must be 5-star resorts. They're playing a game they can never win because the finish line keeps moving. Meanwhile, Lan's world is completely different. A quiet world where every single dollar is valued. No one in that household suspects that behind her modest appearance lies a mind guided by financial principles even seasoned experts would admire. She doesn't hold a finance degree, but the school of life has taught her priceless lessons. And her journey toward wealth started with the most basic yet most overlooked principle of all. Golden rule number 1, the power of savings discipline. The foundation of every financial pyramid is simple. Always live below your means. Sounds almost too basic, doesn't it? But this is the defining line between those who will grow wealthy and those who will remain trapped in debt no matter how much they earn. Tuan and Mai's household brings in hundreds of millions of dong every month, yet their expenses match or exceed that. Their cash flow is like a bottomless bucket. No matter how much water is poured in, it leaks out just as fast. They're constantly waiting for payday just to cover their installment bills. Lon, on the other hand, takes a completely different approach. Her salary isn't high, but she's determined to build a solid dam to hold on to her money. For her, saving isn't a sacrifice, it's paying herself first. The moment she gets paid, the first thing she does is set aside a fixed amount into her savings account. To do that, she lives with almost unwavering discipline, cooking her own meals, taking the bus, avoiding trends, and only buying what she truly needs. Her joy comes from watching her account balance grow a little more each month. Some might call that stingy, but they don't understand the psychological power behind this habit. Every dong Lon saves is a brick in the wall of freedom she's building for her future. It's the assurance that she won't panic when life throws her a curveball. Financial expert Bernadette Joy, who famously paid off $300,000 of debt in 3 years, shared a similar secret, relentless focus. Lon is no different. She focuses on building a solid foundation first. While her employers chase short-term thrills, Lon is investing in something far more valuable, long-term peace. She understands a deep truth. Financial freedom doesn't begin with making more money. It begins with mastering the money you already have. Golden rule number 2, turn dead time into alive time. If the first rule lays the foundation, the second builds the pillars. Never stop learning and turn every moment into an opportunity. Many assume that a housekeeper doesn't have time to learn. That's another flawed assumption. A growth mindset is never limited by circumstance. For Lon, dead time is a luxury she refuses to waste. During lunch breaks, instead of scrolling through social media, she reads news about economics and personal finance. On the bus, she listens to investment podcasts through her headphones. Her small notebook is always by her side, filled with notes and ideas she's picked up. Little by little, day by day, knowledge compounds. Her story echoes almost miraculously the real-life story of Mary Ellen Pleasant, one of the first self-made African-American millionaires in U.S. history. Starting as a cook and domestic worker, Mary had no formal education, but she possessed a powerful weapon, a keen ear. While serving, she overheard countless conversations about business and investment deals. She remembered, analyzed, and quietly used her savings to make wise investments. From humble beginnings, she rose to become one of the most influential women in 19th century San Francisco. The stories of Mary Ellen Pleasant and Lon carry a powerful message. Knowledge is the one asset that never discriminates. In today's world, information is everywhere for anyone who truly seeks it. Successful people don't wait for opportunities, they create them. They turn what others call dead time into alive time, precious moments to feed their minds and sharpen their future. Golden rule number 3, plant seeds. Even the smallest ones. With a solid savings habit and a head full of knowledge, Lon was ready for the third step. Start investing as early as possible, even with the smallest amount of capital. This is where the magic of compound interest, often called the 8th wonder of the world, truly shines. Many people like Tuan and Mai believe you need a lot of money to start investing. What they don't realize is that in investing, time is even more powerful than money. Lon didn't wait. After months of research, she opened a stock trading account. Her first investment was just a few million dong, about as much as Mai might spend on a single dinner. She carefully selected stocks of leading companies she had studied well. She didn't chase market highs or try to time the bottom. She was a long-term investor, applying a strategy called dollar-cost averaging, DCA, buying consistently each month regardless of market fluctuations. Meanwhile, Tuan occasionally played the stock market too, but in a very different way. He followed hot tips, jumped into trending stocks, often bought at the peak and panic sold at the bottom. For him, investing was a gamble. For Lon, it was cultivation. She compared her investing journey to planting a tree. Every month, she watered it with discipline. On sunny days, it grew fast. On stormy days, it looked frail. But she knew as long as the roots were strong, it would eventually grow into a mighty tree. She even used part of her savings to buy a small plot of land in a rural area she believed had long-term potential. Her vision wasn't measured in months, it was measured in decades. The core difference: Poor minds chase quick riches. Wealthy minds build lasting wealth. Lan, the quiet housekeeper, had become a skilled general of her own army of money. Golden rule number 4, the armor of perseverance and kindness. The path to wealth is no walk in the park. It's filled with thorns, not just from the market, but from people around you. That's why the 4th golden rule is this: wear the armor of perseverance and hold fast to kindness. Lan's habits weren't always understood. Once a relative of her employers saw her eating a homemade lunch and scoffed. Working in a rich house and you eat like that. In moments like these, Lan simply smiled and stayed silent. She didn't need to explain. Arguing with someone who measures life by a different yardstick is just wasted energy. Truly wealthy people don't let criticism shake their focus. They carry an unwavering belief in the path they've chosen. When others ask, why live so frugally, they ask themselves, why not? But Lan's perseverance was never cold or harsh. It was wrapped in kindness and honesty. There's a well-known story about a woman named Quyen, a domestic worker in Vietnam. Her honesty earned her employer's complete trust. Touched by her integrity, the employer funded her education in accounting, changing her life forever. Honesty and kindness can become a powerful form of social leverage. Lan understood this too. She worked with all her heart. Her sincerity, though rarely spoken aloud, was felt by everyone around her. Her armor had 2 layers: on the outside, tough perseverance; on the inside, the warmth of integrity. Lan wasn't just building wealth, she was building character, and that is the truest form of wealth there is. The moment of truth, when the curtain falls. Life has a way of unleashing storms when we least expect it, and it's in those storms that a person's true value is revealed. One evening near the year's end, the air inside the grand villa was heavy with silence. Tuan came home looking utterly defeated. His company had suffered a major loss, tens of billions gone in a flash. At the same time, Mai's boutique was struggling, debt piling up. They were teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. Their glamorous world was collapsing. Designer handbags, lavish vacations, all meaningless now. They had built a lifestyle on sand, and the tide of debt was washing it all away. After days of deliberation, Lan made a decision she'd never imagined. She quietly knocked on the study door. Tuan, exhausted, asked, "Is something wrong, Ms. Lan?" Lan stepped in gently, placing a warm cup of tea on the table. In a calm voice, she said, "I happened to overhear some things. I don't know much about business, but I think I might be able to help." Tuan and Mai looked at her stunned. Help? What could a housekeeper possibly do? Lan took a deep breath and continued, "Sir, the urgent amount you need, it's around X billion, right?" Tuan froze. She had named the exact figure down to the last digit. The takeaway: where does true wealth really lie? Lan's story isn't a miracle. It's proof of the timeless power of sound financial principles. Her wealth came not from luck or inheritance, but from intentional choices built on 4 unshakable pillars: unbreakable savings discipline, continuous learning anywhere and everywhere, smart patient investing with a long-term vision, perseverance in the face of judgment, and kindness in action. This story reveals that wealth isn't a noun describing status, it's a verb describing action. It's not something you are, it's something you do consistently. You can be a high-earning CEO, but if you spend everything, you're still poor. You can be a housekeeper, but if you follow the right principles, you're on the path to becoming a millionaire. That's the kind of wealth Lan built. She's not bound by debt. She doesn't live in fear. She owns the most precious asset of all, the freedom to choose. She chose to help her employers not out of obligation, but because she had the means and the heart to do so. So after hearing this story, ask yourself, are you building a lifestyle on sand or on stone? Are you focused on looking rich or being rich? A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And your first step toward financial freedom can start today. Review your spending. Take just 15 minutes a day to read an article about personal finance. Set aside even a small part of your income to save. The world won't change how it sees you until you change how you see yourself. Never let your job or your situation define your limits. The story of a housekeeper wealthier than her boss isn't just a clickbait headline. It's a powerful reminder. Never underestimate anyone. And more importantly, never underestimate yourself. True wealth isn't found in your wallet. It's found in your mindset. Start training your mindset like a wealthy person today. Thank you for listening. If this story resonated with you, share the financial principle that inspired you most in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss more powerful stories like this. See you next time.